So, what is adverse possession and how does it affect real estate? How does it allow you to gain real estate or put your property at risk by losing real estate? Adverse possession is a legal term which involves a use of a property over a certain period of time and certain actions that allow you to become the owner of that property simply by using it in a certain way. And the key to understanding adverse possession, it has to be notorious, it has to be conspicuous, and it has to be continual. So, what that means is if you rent a house from somebody for 10 years, you don't get to own it just because you lived in it for 10 years. And that's where the word notorious comes in. You have to do something that is adversarial to the property. You have to take possession or be on the property without permission of the owner. And you have to do it for a very long period of time. Most states, it's either 5 years or 7 years, and it cannot be hidden. You have to do it out in the open, right? You can't secretly do it because then it defeats the purpose. A good example of adverse possession is this. Let's say if you live in a neighborhood and you have a fence between your yard and the neighbor's yard, and you live there for 10 years. And then you do a property survey and you find out that that fence isn't on the property line. You find out that that fence is 2 feet on your neighbor's property. Well, because of the fact that you use that 2 feet, maybe you have a swing set there, a picnic table, whatever, for 10 years, you may now have become the owner of that because it's notorious, meaning you did it, without their permission. You did it out in the open. You weren't trying to hide it, and you did it for a long period of time. So just because the neighbor didn't know about it and you didn't doesn't change that. So if you're going to try to use adverse possession, you have to make sure you do those three things. You can't just break into somebody's house, live there for 2 weeks, and say, "I own the house." That's called squatting, and that's not how it works. But adverse possession is something where over time you may acquire property rights by simply being a possessor of the property, simply being an occupant of the property. You will be back in your video in just a few seconds. In the meantime, remember that actualhuman.com offers you live one-on-one private video consultation with an expert in this exact subject. We want to listen to your story. We want to hear your questions. We want to give you expert advisement of your options and tell you what we know about your particular situation. Now back to your video. At some point, you probably need to contact an attorney to file the right papers to become the legal owner. Matter of fact, this article is from a law firm. I believe they're in Oklahoma. But you have to have an attorney near where you are. If you do want to do any title work in advance or get consulting, you can click the link below, actualhuman.com. We can talk to you about what your scenario might be and might it be applicable to adverse possession. But it's very important to understand the details in that there's a lot of wishful thinking and urban legends about how it works. And here's another recital of those terms. Possession has to be open, meaning that it's out in the open, it's not hidden. It has to be notorious, meaning that it's not something that's allowed or permitted. It's exclusive, meaning you're not sharing it with somebody else. It's hostile, meaning that you're not doing it cooperatively. And continuous. How long is it continuous? Well, in this state, which is Oregon, has to be 10 years. Has to be 10 years. And you have to have an honest belief that it was reasonable under the circumstances. So if you have a property that you've been using, or maybe your property extended onto somebody else's, you may have adverse possession. Here's a kind of a piece of trivia that might be of interest. Do you ever walk down in a big city and there's a skyscraper or a commercial building and they have the steps of the entrance, part of it blocked off with tape? Right? Maybe there's three railings that divide the steps into three sections, and they put tape across one of them. The reason for it is they have a schedule, a calendar that once a year they block off different parts of the steps. Because if they don't, somebody could say adverse possession comes from the public, from the city, for using those steps continuously without being blocked, and they might lose the ownership. So smart commercial properties will block off parts of their building on a regular basis, rotating basis, to make sure that they don't lose exclusive right to it. They can let the public use it, but if you let the public use it all the time without interruption, they might lose on adverse possession. That's the reason why you might see that occasionally. So if you look and see it's blocked off with yellow tape, well, there's nothing going on. They're not fixing anything. They're not repairing anything. Why are they doing it? Adverse possession prevention is in play with that management company. If you do have questions, click the link below. We're glad to be of assistance. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can access live one-on-one personal consultations with a licensed private investigator, a licensed commercial insurance broker, licensed certified real estate title examiner, also a certified civil court mediator. So if you have a need to talk to an expert in any of these fields, or even a licensed building general contractor, you can click the link below, actualhuman.com, and arrange a live one-on-one undivided attention with a licensed expert where you can ask any questions, get information about your situation, and we'd be glad to help.